History remembers the headlines. We find the bylines. This is the unsung. The Hubble Space Telescope is a triumph of human ingenuity, a window to the universe that has redefined our place in the cosmos. We all know the dramatic story of its near failure and the heroic astronauts who flew a daring mission to fix its blurry vision. But that's only half the story. Behind the scenes, there was an engineer who found the fatal flaw before Hubble ever left the ground. An engineer whose warnings were ignored, but whose work later became the blueprint for the telescope's spectacular rescue. His name was Vijay Bhatia. So how did the man who saw the error first become a footnote in one of NASA's most famous missions? To understand his role, we need to go back to the 1980s. Vijay Bhatia was a skilled optical engineer at Perkin-Elmer, the company hired to create Hubble's massive primary mirror. This was a monumental task, demanding a level of precision never before achieved. Bhatia was part of a large, specialized team working under immense pressure to meet deadlines and budgets. His specific job was in metrology, the science of measurement. He wasn't grinding the mirror himself. He was analyzing the data from the incredibly precise instruments used to test its shape. He was the one staring at the raw numbers that described the mirror's curvature, looking for any deviation, no matter how small. His job was to find the flaw before it became a billion-dollar problem in orbit. The pivotal moment arrived during the final testing phase, right before the mirror was scheduled to be delivered to NASA. Bhatia was analyzing data from a device called a reflective null corrector, which was designed to measure the mirror's complex curve with pinpoint accuracy. As he crunched the numbers, a red flag went up. His calculations showed a tiny but significant discrepancy. The mirror appeared to be ground to the wrong specification, off by about 2.2 micrometers. That's less than the width of a single human hair. It sounds impossibly small, but in the realm of space optics, it was a catastrophic error. He immediately raised the alarm, presenting his findings to his superiors, but his concerns were dismissed. The project managers at Perkin-Elmer were under pressure and had complete faith in their primary testing device. They made a critical assumption. Bhatia's secondary instrument must be the one that was misaligned, not their prized mirror. The official decision was made. The mirror was declared perfect, a masterpiece of engineering, and was shipped for installation into the telescope. The warnings of a single engineer were filed away. Then, in 1990, Hubble was deployed, and the first images came back to Earth. They were a blurry, heartbreaking mess. The triumphant launch had turned into a national embarrassment. The telescope, designed to see to the edge of the universe, was nearsighted. In the frantic investigation that followed, scientists and engineers re-examined every piece of data from the mirror's production. And there, buried in the records, was Vijay Bhatia's pre-launch analysis. His calculations were perfect. He had been right all along, but his contribution didn't end with the simple, "I told you so." His work became the key to saving the entire mission, because he hadn't just identified that there was a problem. His precise mathematical model described the exact nature of the error. This data was absolutely essential. Engineers used his original calculations to design the corrective optics package, famously known as CoStar. This device was essentially a set of glasses for the telescope, a series of small mirrors perfectly shaped to counteract the flaw in the main mirror. During the first servicing mission in 1993, astronauts installed CoStar, and the results were breathtaking. The blurry images sharpened into stunning, crystal-clear views of distant galaxies. Hubble was saved, and astronomy was changed forever. So, if Bhatia was so crucial, why isn't his name as famous as the astronauts who fixed the telescope? His erasure from the popular narrative wasn't malicious. It was a result of systemic pressures and the way we tell stories. In huge, high-stakes projects like Hubble, there's immense pressure to stay on schedule. Dissent from a mid-level engineer no matter how well founded, can be seen as an obstacle. It was easier for management to believe their primary test equipment was right than to admit a fundamental flaw in the centerpiece of the whole mission. Once the flaw became public, the story was framed in a simple, dramatic way. There were the villains, the contractors who made the mistake, and the heroes, the brave astronauts who flew into space to fix it. It was a classic narrative of failure and redemption. Vijay Bhatia didn't fit neatly into either category. He wasn't a villain, and he wasn't the astronaut hero. He was the expert who tried to prevent the failure in the first place, a more complex and less sensational part of the story. The official reports and documentaries focused on the organizational failures at the top and the spectacular in-space repair. The meticulous, analytical work of individual engineers like Bhatia, whose data was the key to the solution, was relegated to the technical appendices, not the primetime narrative. Today, Vijay Bhatia's story is gaining the recognition it deserves, especially among engineers and space historians. It's now seen as a classic case study of the ignored whistleblower and the profound value of quiet, meticulous problem solving. His legacy is a powerful lesson in the importance of data, precision, and the courage to speak truth to power, even when you're overruled. It reminds us that so many of history's greatest triumphs and fixes don't begin with a dramatic public crisis. They begin years earlier, in the quiet work of someone who saw the problem first. Who else in science or technology do you know of who provided a crucial early warning that was initially ignored? We'd love to hear their story in the comments below. And if you want to hear more stories of the hidden figures behind the headlines, be sure to subscribe to the Unsung. Thanks for watching.